College football is so close to starting back up. We've got week 0 around the corner with a nice little taste of that college football slate returning to our lives. And then after that, week 1, it comes at you fast. It comes quick. So as my way of helping you prepare so that you're not on your heels and caught off guard and you're there on Saturday or maybe even Thursday or Friday when the games start and you're panicking, you're like, oh my God, who do I pick? Who do I place my bets on? I'm here to help you. I've got 4 best bets that I'm going to break down here on today's video for week 1 of college football. You are getting this way before anybody else. I'm sure that these lines might theoretically move. I'll probably do a follow-up video the week of week 1, but I love these lines the way that they look at this current moment. Before I continue on, make sure you subscribe to the channel. I'm going to be doing weekly college football pick videos every single week. Early on in the week, I'm also going to be doing NFL picks on this channel as well. So make sure you subscribe so you do not miss out. All right, let's dig into what we've got here for today's picks for week 1. Georgia Tech versus Colorado is the first game that I am looking at. I went back and forth on this Georgia Tech-Colorado line because I originally wanted to go with Georgia Tech just off of the assertion that Colorado looked as bad as they did last year down the stretch, and they showed that they were just not capable of surviving without Travis Hunter and Shedeur Sanders. It was not the same level of talent that we witnessed years prior. While I was thinking about that, I was thinking to myself how there's a lot of change for both of these teams. There is a lot of positive change for Colorado that I think has gone uncovered for the most part. I am being I'm gambling a bit here, but I like the idea of Colorado plus 6.5 if you can grab the line at that. It's a tight window, but I like the idea of Julian Lewis in this offense with Brennan Marion. This was honestly like what flipped me. I originally was thinking to myself, all right, I'm going to go with Georgia Tech. Brent Key has shown that he is just that good of a coach, but we don't know who Brent Key is without his 2 coordinators, especially Buster Faulkner, who created one of the most consistent rushing attacks in college football. We don't know what this is going to look like without Haynes King. Now, I love Justice Haynes, and I'm curious on how things look with Alberto Mendoza, but I feel like there's a lot new for them to win this thing by more than a touchdown. I believe Georgia Tech does win this football game, but I'm intrigued by the thought that Brennan Marion comes in knowing that he is a brilliant, absolutely brilliant play caller, able to scheme up some things, produce some big plays. The revamp on defense is enough for them to be a little bit steadier, and this thing ends up being close. Last year, this was a 7-point game. With how chippy Georgia Tech was and capable of going toe-to-toe with the top teams in the ACC as they were, and for as bottom of the barrel that Colorado was in the Big 12, this was a 7-point game in week 1. So I feel as though that there's a possibility that we watch Colorado keep this thing close, maybe even win it, but highly unlikely, mostly unlikely, but this thing ends up being less than a touchdown. It maybe goes down to the wire. The next pick that I am intrigued by, Auburn, -7 versus Baylor. Baylor, to me, is a sitting duck. And I'm kind of curious, even though I love DJ Lagway, I am wishing him nothing but the best. I really think that DJ Lagway has an opportunity to completely reshape his career. I wish he didn't pick Baylor, because Baylor is just in a bad spot. I might bet against them a lot early, depending on who their various matchups and what those lines look like. Aranda, ironically, cannot get his defense right. New DC coming in. And he was a sitting duck in the first place. If it wasn't for the distraction and the issues with the athletic director that they were dealing with last year, he would have been fired. This would be a new head coach that we would be talking about. We would have a matchup with 2 new head coaches going into this game. Not to mention the fact that you had 16 players last season that saw 200 snaps on offense for Baylor. one of the most productive offenses in the Big 12 last year. Only 3 guys are coming back. I think we're asking a lot for DJ Lagway to carry this team. Not to mention the fact that Bryson Washington, who has quietly been one of the more underrated running backs in the country and also just in the Big 12 in general, he's on this Auburn team. Him and Jeremiah Cobb for Auburn create a really fun backfield. I think that they're going to be able to produce a lot of big plays, and they're going to be able to do it in this game against this porous Baylor defense that has not been good over the past couple of years. I love Byron Brown, and I love the core of players that Alex Golish brought in from USF. To me, one thing has been proven, especially from when this game was played last year, that as much as a team can be competitive in the Big 12, there is naturally a separation between bottom tier SEC teams and middle of the pack Big 12 teams. If you're one of the top 2 Big 12 teams, you can at least provide competitiveness and likely win against a bottom tier SEC program. But we've watched Mississippi State pull out victories the way that they did against Arizona State. But most importantly, we all remember how awful Auburn was last year. They were terrible. That offense was embarrassingly bad. They put 38 points on Baylor. Now, I am not using last season's results as an indication for this, but my point is that the talent gap is large enough that it should really be reflected more in this line. Only a touchdown? I think Auburn can win this thing at least by 10 points based on the talent gap alone. This Auburn team has some really good players. I like some of the guys that they've got coming in and coming back on this defense as well. This game is going to transpire a lot differently than I think a lot of people are anticipating. This is, I believe, it is a neutral site game played in Atlanta. We'll see what that ends up affecting. Things probably doesn't. I would have been more aggressive about pushing this pick if this game was at Auburn. All right, next pick. Oklahoma State -14 against Tulsa. This almost feels disrespectful to a degree that Oklahoma State's only favored by 2 touchdowns. Eric Morris knows how to beat American Conference teams, first and foremost. Brought the whole damn North Texas team with him. He hung large point totals on every single team in the American. He brings in 3 of his most important players, Caleb Hawkins, Wyatt Young, and Drew Mestmaker. Tulsa, on the other hand, 4-8 a year ago, nice offense, not a great defense, lost its top 6 players in yards from scrimmage. Baylor Hayes comes back, but they lost their top 6 players in yards from scrimmage. A team that needed to put up big point totals to hang in games is replacing a significant amount of its offensive production. I really think that Oklahoma State is going to catch a lot of people off guard in the Big 12 this year. They, to me, feel like a team that can go 8-4. But most importantly, you got a chance here against Tulsa to just wallop them and to open the year with some confidence. I think that this is going to be a Drew Mestmaker. I can't even call it a coming out party because we already know about Drew Mestmaker. I think he's going to put up a great performance, and we're going to see this offense really pop and explode. To me, Oklahoma State has value early on if we're already seeing lines like this against a G6 opponent where they're only favored by 2 touchdowns. All right, the last one that I'm going with here, and I did on Rufino Joe Show, we did our preview, and I discussed why I felt like LSU had a strong edge to win that game confidently and to secure the victory in a manner at home that it felt like Clemson wasn't even really touching them. But since we did that preview, this line has moved. There is a 10.5 point line for Clemson. And I'm going to make my case here. This might change for me, by the way. If this line keeps moving in the direction of LSU, I implore everybody to take it. If it continues to move in the direction of LSU, which I feel like the betting public wants to bet on Kiffin and have money on Kiffin, the larger the spread is, the more you should be willing to take it. Because I think that Clemson does have some underrated pieces. They do have the capability to score late and to backdoor cover this thing. I don't see a world where they win. I don't see a way that with a new quarterback stepping into Death Valley that there is a capable possibility for them to win this game. But I do believe with a lot new for LSU, it's not going to be a perfect outing. It'll be a confident win, but it won't be like a perfect performance. And I see that on offense, you've got Bryant Wesco, and TJ Moore, who are two of the more underrated corners in the country. And you've got Will Helt, Ashton Hampton, and Sammy Brown on defense, good enough to make some plays in their own right on that side of the ball. 10.5 is so big. I only saw one book that was offering this, but 10.5 is such a big number. Clemson, to me, has enough talent to keep this thing within striking distance, backdoor cover, whatever it is. And I'm hoping this line moves a little bit more before I officially take it. Comment below, what picks do you like for week 1 of college football? I'll talk to you later.